YouTube, and welcome to First Generation Family Orientation 2026. This is our live stream. First of all, you already know what to do. If you're watching this, go ahead and smash that like button and give us a subscribe. We plan on uploading more content to the First Generation Comments YouTube channel. I'm Derek Jackson, and I'm the Assistant Director in Undergraduate Education. I oversee First Generation student programs, and I want to introduce my colleagues. We have Sarah and Olivia here. And we're gonna just be taking your questions, and I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the chat to see what questions come in. So we appreciate you all joining us here. And while I get that set up, there we go, I can see myself, there we go, wonderful. So, you just watched First Generation Family Orientation, and I'm here on campus with the in-person audience here. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you all for being here. And while we wait on the audience to come in, I'm gonna, if you don't mind indulging me, I'm gonna burn a few minutes by, I call it get on a soapbox, but you know, I'm gonna do it. So I like to start off by saying, this is actually my first full-time job. I've been in this role for 8 years. I graduated with my master's in 2017, and then in 2018, I started working here. And there's a reason why I never left. It's professional. I don't feel like I've ever worked a day in my life. But beyond that, me doing this is actually deeply personal to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, I was in your student shoes in 2011 when I first started. And I see myself in the students that come into this event. And there are two key differences between myself and the students here. Number one difference is I was born in the late 1900s, so I literally have just got here first and did the same thing. But the UT Dallas experience, as someone who's been here for about 15 years, that's kind of rough for me to say, since 2011 and up to now, the overall experience hasn't really changed for people like us who are first gen. And that's a good thing, because stability is good. So as someone who's done it, that's where thing number two comes in, because the difference between myself and the students who are here and the students who are watching is you have someone who's done this before and is committed to making sure that everything that I experienced, which was probably not the greatest, that just comes from not knowing. I do everything I can to make sure that the students that come after me do know about that. It's like your journey is gonna be different than mine. However, whereas it's like a dark forest, at least you have a guy with a lantern saying, if you go this way, you can get to the end of the goal. And that's why it's personal, because I just want to be the person in your student's life to make sure that this dream is fulfilled. And I was talking to my colleagues outside, and the truth is it really does hit different when you're a parent, because I have a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old. And if there are any Marvel fans in the audience, the way that I describe it is when you are a first-gen student, you literally put your entire bloodline on a different timeline. Because now my kids, should they choose to go to college, will be second-generation college students. And statistically, they're very likely to go because of their parents. But I want to point out something else. In spite of the difficulties that I experienced, and I would just be honest, my first semester, my first year at UT Dallas, when I tell you I got cooked, like it was rough. My GPA was a 2-something coming out. I was getting emails from financial aid saying, we are kind of paying for this, so you might want to, get it together, skis. And I felt like a failure. When I came home from my freshman year, I came home and I just went into my room, and see, my mom knew something was up because she didn't hear my Xbox turn on. And normally I come home, she hears the Xbox, and she'll hear, the Halo thing. But she didn't hear that. So I was just sitting in my room. She comes in, And I wasn't on scholarship, but I was on the State Farm good student discount. And you had to keep a certain GPA to get that discount. And I don't need to tell anybody in this room how important finances are and just making sure that we can, keep going. So I felt like an absolute failure sitting in my room, no halo. And she asked me what was wrong. And I told her, look, I lost the discount. It hasn't come out yet because final grades haven't come out, but I'm just telling you that that's what happened. And I literally would never forget this. She sits down next to me and she asked me a question. She was like, have you ever done this before? I was like, well, I've certainly never lost a State Farm good student discount before. And she's like, no, like going to college, have you ever done this? And I was like, no. So how, she responds, so how could you have known like what this was really about to be like? Sure, when we were in high school, our counselor said, and I would bet that they're still doing this today. Well, you got to read that syllabus, and when you go to college, your classes, you're going to be responsible for your own schedule. They say these things, and it's true on a broad area, but the actual experience can't really touch on that. So she was like, you never done this before, so you need to give yourself some grace. And as long as you go, and she encouraged me to go and get connected with people who could support me. And that's what I did. And so every year, that was freshman year. Sophomore year, she said, you've never been a sophomore before, remember that. You've never been a junior, you've never been a senior. And I graduated and I went to graduate school and I was doing my master's degree. She tells me, remember, you've never done a master's degree before. That started in 2012. In 2026, she tells me, remember, you've never written a dissertation before. Like you've never gotten a PhD before, which is what I'm currently doing. So the way that it starts, as long as you get linked up with the people who can support you, you're gonna be fine. But you all are gonna be in a much better spot than me after your freshman year because you have the know-how now about the resources. I should have been in the Student Success Center. Like I would not have been in that situation, but I didn't know. So for the families, I just want you all to know, I know it's your children are going to college. That's a big thing. Like my mom, she tried not to let it show, but I could tell it affected her that my brother and I were leaving. So if it's any comfort, just know that I run this program and I will do everything in my power to make sure your student runs through the tape. And I'm gonna be waiting right over there in 4 years doing this whenever they walk across the stage. So I'm gonna step off of the soapbox. So I just wanted to give that spiel because it's really important to me. I wanna open up the floor. If there are any questions, like any burning questions right now, and I talk in front of undergrads for a living, so I understand that sometimes a question will arise. But I have questions that were submitted before that I can dive into. One of the ones that really stood out, and I was telling some families this before, I can read Spanish better than I can speak it. So there was a question that said about transportation if it's raining, going from your apartment to campus. And if you are off campus, we have DART. Like we have the Comet Cruisers, and then actually there are stops near some of the apartments around campus that will pick you up and bring you to campus. If you live on campus, I would recommend an umbrella. But we do have transportation that you can get. So another one, the type of financial support that's available to first-generation students. Well, thanks to Capital One, we have what's called the First Gen Future Leader Fund. And what that is if you're like me and you want to go to graduate school, if you decide when you're like me in the middle of junior year that you want to go to graduate school, well, it's helpful if you get involved in some type of club. It's helpful if you go to a conference if you can. It's helpful if you study abroad. By the way, I thought to myself, guy like me, I can't study abroad. Yeah, I could have. It's very possible. What gatekeeps us though? The cost. The cost is what gatekeeps us, but we're done with that. Thanks to Capital One, we have the First Generation Future Leaders Fund, and we can support a student up to $500 to go do these things. So if you're trying to go to medical school, there's a cost associated with that. Your application fee, your MCAT, all this type of thing. You email me, I send you the application, explain what you're going to use it for. Boom, we can make that happen. We are working on the first generation general scholarship where it's just, I'm first gen and I need help paying for college, and we say less. I do want to remind everybody, and Sarah will probably talk about this in a little bit, scholarships open up, I believe it's in October, to apply for next year. So don't worry, all of you are now on my email list. So you're going to be getting those reminders. So it's not, we're not gonna burden you with the information that you then have to remember the rest of the academic year. Because I know sometimes I can't even remember what I had for lunch, so it's like, it does be like that. But those were the two main ones that popped up. The financial situation and transportation. And I didn't get into this in the video, but I will in next year's video. I want to actually focus and let students and families know before we jump in here, what first generation student programs, what we focus on primarily. There are 3 areas. Number 1 is academic support. That's number 1, because going through and making sure that our students are supported, that's number 1. My door is always open. You email, set up an appointment with me. We'll talk about anything. And then I'll connect you with supporters to make sure that we're going according to plan. If you hit a rough patch, that's okay. There literally been, I told you my story from freshman year. For folks who aren't here, you come to my office, Rexo is right, I have Spider-Man all over the place. Yes, I did see Brand New Day. We can talk about it when the fall semester starts. But I've had students come in and say, man, I'm really struggling. Am I cooked? Is it over? I would say it's not, and let me show you why. And I go, putting in my ID number, turn the screen around. They see a big old younger version of me with this huge smile on his face. I was like, look at what this guy was doing in freshman year. But now this is how we get back on track. So academic support. And number 2, and I know that this might not even be 2, this is 1A, career and workplace readiness. Because I know that the question is, okay, I'm going to college, and then what? So we have a new president who is hyper-focused on integrating career readiness into everything that we do. We have a new dean. You saw Dean Nichols in the video. We're integrating career readiness in everything that we do as well. And you have me, who we're integrating career readiness in everything we do. We have programs like the Workplace Readiness Program and other programs for career readiness. And my brother went to UT Dallas here, and he works for Ally Financial. And for my business majors here, Ally has the most UT Dallas alums that work there in the DFW area. And that all started because my brother was like, hey, you got students? So yeah, I do. And so now we've formalized that. And of course we've got Capital One, who also will recruit exclusively from us. So we have that. And of course the Career Center, those 3 folks you saw there, work exclusively with us. So academics, career and workplace readiness, and just overall support. Because we are trying to vibe while we're here. So we do our best to create an environment where we can just all do well. So I wanted to really hone in on that. That's what we hyper-focus on. So any questions, comments, complaints from the audience? Any questions? I'll keep a look here on the live chat. But as y'all think of those questions, I'm gonna pass it off to Sarah, and then you can just introduce yourselves and then just kind of give some advice. It could be specifically from your standpoint of what you do or just overall.
Well, good morning-ish, everyone. My name is Sarah Metz. I'm the Assistant Director of the Financial Aid Counseling team here at UT Dallas. So my team's the one answering your emails and your phone calls and seeing you in person to help you with your financial aid questions and process. My one piece of advice from a financial aid standpoint is to make sure that you are meeting all of your deadlines. We do have hard deadlines on a lot of our things like scholarships, renewals, making sure that you understand what types of offers you're receiving and what the renewal requirements are for those, because you don't want to lose your scholarship or your discount or your grants. And then my advice, just as a previous college student, is to get involved, make sure that you are checking out those organizations that mean something to you, making those connections with your professors that are going to eventually write recommendation letters for you, and just get involved and know people.
Hello, everybody. I'm Olivia Guerra, and currently I'm at the Center for Brain Health, which is not located on campus. We are downtown in the medical district by Parkland and UT Southwestern, but we are a part of UTD, and excitingly, we partner with the Learning Community for First-Gen students to offer a class in the springtime called Journey into Brain Health that teaches a lot of strategies on your brain, how to be healthy, how to be a better student, and you get to like share with one another how you're using those strategies. And you're like, well, Olivia, what does that have to do with me as a first gen? What do you know about first gen students? Okay, well, over 25 plus years with First Gen, I was the director of a trio program called Upward Bound within Dallas College before I came to UTD, and I actually worked with Sarah's mom at that time, and so here we are now together at UTD. And I have had students that now, let's see, I started with them as freshmen in high school, and now I have their children talking to me. Like, I was in the hospital when they had the baby, got the books for the baby, got books for Derek's first baby, because I'm like, start reading now, this is gonna help them. I am really student focused, and once you're one of mine, you're mine forever. In other words, even if I haven't heard from you for 5 years and you're like, oh no, I need help with my internship getting the job later, right? Like, they're gonna let me present after my internship and potentially offer me a job. I need somebody to practice with. I'll listen. I'll give you feedback. I've had to present a lot. Sarah already said the main things that we know from research. If you want to succeed in college, the chances of you staying, thriving, and completing are greatly increased when you reach out and begin becoming part of that campus community. So I was also a flight attendant at one point. I know that's really crazy, but we used to say, don't do door slam shut and then stay behind your door and not talk to anybody, because then you'll be lonely, which we hear is one of the very top concerns of students when they first go to college. Reach out. If there are so many activities happening on this campus, like look at the Comet calendar, find something you're interested in. I promise you, there is something. We've had Lumberjack Club. You can find something you're interested in, find your people, make those connections. That's what's gonna make the difference. Just before this, I was asking these two about one of my former students who stopped out, and she wants to come back and finish. And I was like, you know what? In my former place, I knew exactly who to hand walk this person to and say, this is what's happening. I wasn't sure here, but I sure knew who to ask. And they've already told me, and guess what? Next week, I'll go with that student who's a little uncomfortable because the parents are far away, and I'm just gonna body double, and we're gonna go around and we're gonna get it straightened out. And that is what's critical. Don't be afraid to reach out to all of us. We're here to help you succeed. And previously, this class that we offer in the spring was only for students in this learning community that was living in Vega Hall. But now we learned other students were interested when they started learning from those students. So if you're interested in being in the class, it does not cost you extra. It's not gonna impact your GPA in any way. It's just beneficial to know this stuff. Let Derek know, and he can get you in the class. And you'll see me and some other professionals from the Center for Brain Health and from around that will bring you information that really, I wish I would have known as an undergrad, like all-nighters are bad. Caffeine after a certain point could actually hurt me, not help me. All of these things that I was like, oh, I wish I would have known that ahead of time, then I wouldn't have gotten sick after finals every single semester to keep my grades up because I wasn't sleeping and eating correctly because I was cramming for tests. I could have saved myself so much heartache. So we've been here doing this for quite a while. We want you to succeed because when you succeed, you're gonna help the people coming behind you succeed. And that's what we want to see. We want to see thriving communities, happy students, happy parents. We're here for you. Don't be afraid to reach out. I know you don't like to pick up the phone. My son would rather email or text. I have a high schooler. But we don't bite. Please, please, come talk to us.
Yeah, for sure. And yes, if you want to get involved on campus, there's probably a club for any interest. I was walking down and I saw that there was a Yu-Gi-Oh club, and I thought about it for a second. I was like, I'm probably washed, but like I'm not gonna do that. There's a fencing club. I'm talking about the swords where they say "on God" and they do this type of thing.
I did that in college.
Yeah, they have that. Like they have a SpongeBob club. So yeah, it's something here for everyone. Anybody have any questions? Like there's nothing out of bounds. Like you can ask anything about my experience as a student or anything about UT Dallas. We're happy to provide that insight.
Yeah.
I majored in psychology. So I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, realized in junior year, and that's a great question because this kind of touches on how the sort of like education trajectory kind of works. Obviously, you might be able to tell I'm a super extroverted guy. So I majored in psychology because I wanted to understand human behavior. Sophomore year turns around, I took social psychology. I realized I really like this version of psychology. A lot of people all the time would be like, so you're majoring in psychology, so like you're gonna be like a psychiatrist, right? And I'm like, no, you have to go to medical school for that. No. You're gonna be like a counselor, right? And I was like, nah, I'm interested in human dynamics and what makes people happy. So I applied for graduate school when I was a junior and realized I really like this. So I majored I got my master's in psychology with a focus on social and personality psychology. And it was during that time my master's thesis looked at how motivation affects narcissists and their GPA. You're gonna be shocked to hear the narcissists were getting higher grades. Crazy, but the truth, what the story was, what was driving them. And I discovered that there's something about GPA specifically that allows the narcissist to promote themselves. Me, bro, I got a 4.0. And protect themselves. Me, bro, I got a 4.0, so like you can't touch me and stuff like that. But it was during that time where I was like, I really like studying research on emerging adults, i.e. 17 through 22. So I started working here, then I started my PhD in 2021, and my dissertation is looking at motivation and how it affects student behaviors when it comes to seeking out academic resources. Currently in production, and by the time you graduate, I will have the thing done, I promise.
Dr. Derek.
So my undergrad, I majored in political science with the understanding that after graduating, I would go to law school. Well, I'm sitting up here, so I obviously didn't go to law school. At the end of my 4 years in undergrad, I was feeling a lot of anxiety about even applying to law schools. And I felt like because of that anxiety, that probably wasn't the path for me. And I didn't want to perpetually be in this state of anxiety. So I decided to do something that meant a lot to me, and that evidently was continuing into higher education. So I started at a testing center at a community college, and I've worked my way up to being the assistant director of financial aid. 15 years after graduating college, I decided I think I finally know what I want to do when I grow up. And I went back for my master's in library sciences, and I'll actually be graduating at the end of next semester. Yep, and hopefully going into an educational library after that.
Ooh, I love libraries. Okay, so undergrad, you were born in the late 1900s. I was in undergrad in the late 1900s. And I had two majors. I was a clinical psychology major and a women's studies major. And I went into education because at my university, there was a program there for underrepresented students in PhD programs. It's called McNair Scholars. And so I became a McNair Scholar, and I had adults at that time standing in front of me saying, we want to help you, because nobody in my family had gone to grad school, so they wanted to support me, but they didn't know what they didn't know, right? So it's hard to ask questions if you don't even know what questions to ask. So this organization helped me get with a faculty mentor. They helped me fund research over the summer. They helped me go to conferences to present that research so that I would then be in a better position when I went to apply for grad school, because I didn't even know what to do to prepare myself for grad school. I didn't know there was grad school at one point when I started undergrad. And so I had to learn, and going through those stumbling blocks helped me realize I wasn't alone. There were people to support me, and then I could help, again, those students that looked to me and were like, oh, well, you're doing this. Because we know students will listen to students a lot more frequently than they'll listen to some of us sometimes, and that's okay. We want to make sure, though, that you have the right information to share with those other students. So then I went to work at Dallas College for a long time with my Upward Bound students, which were first-generation students while they were still in high school getting ready to go to college. And while I was there, I went to a lecture at the Center for Brain Health. And our founder and director, Dr. Sandy Chapman, announced she was going to launch a 10-year longitudinal study on brain health. And she wanted to make sure that populations who usually aren't represented in research, hello, women, people that look like me and you, don't often participate in that scientific research. Well, she wanted to make sure that everybody was included, because if I get data, but it's only on people who like Spider-Man and have 2 children, is it going to be as applicable to Sarah, to Olivia? No, right? It's not maybe as transferable. We want this to benefit broadly. We want it to benefit the entire community, not just the select population that self-select in. So she's like, I really want to make sure that students that often aren't included in research are included. Well, my antenna went up in that audience that day, and I wrote furiously, because handwriting is better for notes, by the way, side note preview. And I was like, I know those students. And another thing is, when you're working with students, you're not working with just students. You're working with entire families, generations. So my students' parents would come back and say, we want to go to college too, and everybody would go together, and we would help that happen. So I was listening, and I was like, I know exactly who Dr. Chapman could connect with. How do I get there? Guess what? Neuroscience wasn't an offering in the late 1900s as an undergrad major. It is now. But back then it was like 2 classes, and it was neuroscience and psychobiology. Well, I was like, I can't teach these strategies if I don't understand the science behind it. So I came back to UTD and got my master's in neuroscience, applied cognition and neuroscience from the College of BBS here. While I was there, I did my internship, which was required for graduation, at the Center for Brain Health. And one lucky day, Dr. Chapman said, well, Olivia, what is it that you want to do when you get your master's? I said, well, I really want to make sure that you get connected with the students and their families that I used to work with. And eventually I landed there. And guess what I'm doing now? I'm connecting the college I used to work with the Center for Brain Health, and partnering with UTD to bring that education to our communities, because it's critical for everybody. And so if you would have talked to Olivia as an undergrad and said, do you want to be a woman in STEM? I would have been like, no, I hate math. I hate science, because I thought I was bad at it. I actually ended up being good at it. I just needed support. And that's what we want to do for you. We want to model that you can be up here. We want you to be up here in a few years talking about, hey, I remember when I was sitting here. I remember what you had to struggle with. But the other thing is, we always focus on what we don't know and like what we're deficit in. But what I want to remind you of is you probably, having to get here as a first gen, had to use a lot of creativity, a lot of resilience, and you had to go out and find out stuff and how to do it with nobody really there before you. So you were an adventurer and an explorer, and you took the initiative to do that. Those are superpowers. Because if everything's handed to you, you don't struggle to learn it. You don't remember as much because, like, my son is always like, yeah, Mom, I know, I gotta do that. I gotta prepare for the SAT and the ACT, because that's all he's heard his whole life because I've been doing this so long. But nobody was telling us to get ready for or telling me and Derek, and I'm sure Sarah actually probably knew, but what to take after undergrad. And we want you to know you're probably more ready to use that creative side of things and problem solving. You're coming in with some talents that give you strength over other students. So remember, you're kind of a superpowered student sitting out here. You made it here. You belong here. Maybe more than some of the students whose parents came here, because you had to work twice as hard. And so you can do this. Just remember, we're here to support you. So yeah, I started in one area, and now here I am in a STEM area. Yay!
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, just to reemphasize that, what you all are seeing is the end result of a process. And it can be, I know that it can be maybe even a little awe-inspiring, or eventually maybe even a little scary, because what we don't want you to do is compare yourselves to us when we're already, like I'm already 33 and I've gone through school. When I was doing my master's, I was comparing myself to a fourth-year PhD student. That makes no sense on the surface, but when you see what you perceive to be success, you're like, okay, I want that. And then we will also perceive anything that goes wrong as, oh, this is throwing me off of my plan. It's called avoidant motivation, and that's something that I study. But we want to emphasize that this is the end result of a process, that we are going to be with you every step of the way. It's just having support. It's not hand-holding, because like we literally can't do that. You just have someone with you. It's like, hey, these are some of the opportunities that are available. What speaks to you? Because all I'm going to say is, based on what you've been talking about, you seem to be really into A, B, C, and D. And then at the end of the day, you still have to pick A, B, C, or D. And we're just here as that support for you all. So just wanted to emphasize that.
But I also want to point out that none of us expected to be here when we were there.
No.
So, you don't have to have your life all figured out right now. And it's okay to make mistakes and move forward.
100%. And this may be a hot take, but I'm going to say it live on YouTube. There are a lot of things that we do that we just assume is normal or just makes sense that actually doesn't make any sense at all. I was 17, and they said, hey, pick this thing you want to study that's going to set you up for after college, but you got to pick it now when you're 17. I was like, oh, I like people. I'll pick psychology. And I didn't even know what I wanted to have for dinner when I was 17, and I have to pick an area of study. So this is what I want to say. Of course, I will say there are students who pick their majors like, this is what I want to do. I knew I wanted to do this since I was eating my Flintstones vitamins. I knew that this is what I was going to do. But the reality is, that's not everyone. Sometimes you'll pick something that you're interested in, and then your interest, they might change. Like the more experience you get. So what I tell students all the time is to embrace the exploratory nature of your first year and a half here. If you are interested in accounting, in your freshman year, that's fantastic. Maybe you take an economics class and you're thinking, I really like this. That's okay. Because I would much rather you discover that than come into my office. This has happened before. Come into my office, you're about to go into your senior year, and you're like, man, I'm just not enjoying this. Like, it was a computer engineering. I'm just not enjoying this. I feel trapped, but I didn't feel like I could change. So I'm telling you now that embrace that exploratory nature. So, any other questions here?
How about from the parents? Because I know you're I've talked to a lot of parents over the years who really had concerns and questions, and they were like, how much is too much for me to be in contact with my student? What do I need to expect? Do I need to be at every parent event that the university has? Anything like that. Parents, we're also here for you.
For sure.
Because this is your first time shepherding a student through higher ed.
Yeah.
And higher ed changes all the time.
Correct.
Not quickly, as quickly as we'd like sometimes, but it does. And so we're here for you too. And we're all parents.
Yeah.
So we get it.
Yeah, so we have a number of scholarships that are available through our endowed scholarship funds and through our departments. So those are the scholarships that you can apply for after your first year. The ones that will be opening in October, there actually aren't very many. So the ones that open for October are for the spring semester, and we don't have a lot of spring-only scholarships, but you'll start to see them open up in October. The majority of those smaller departmental and endowed scholarships will open in January for the next fall semester. And you can take a look. We have an Artemis portal, or right now it's called Artemis, and we're moving all of our scholarships to that portal. And you'll see a full list of all of the scholarships that are offered and available, and with their descriptions and their requirements. So you can start getting kind of those essays or recommendation letters or whatever else you may need for those scholarships now, so that when they open in October or January, you're ready to submit your applications.
Absolutely. And remember, you'll all get an email from me saying, hey, this is about to open up. If you need any support, you need someone to look at your essay, hit me up. I saw a hand.
Yeah, I had a question about study abroad. I know you said that there's the fund available, but is there also like scholarships for studying abroad or other ways to pay for it?
Yeah, so we have a study abroad office here at UTD that has connections to specific scholarships for study abroad. So you'll definitely want to work with that office and make sure that you're applying for all of those specific to study abroad scholarships. Now, there are several different ways to do study abroad. So we have faculty-led programs, we have exchange mobility, and then there's a third one that's without the university really involved. So if you're in one of the first two, either faculty-led or exchange mobility, you're actually enrolled in UT Dallas hours while you're studying abroad, so all of your regular financial aid would still be applicable to those courses. Now, if you choose to do one of the ones that are not those two programs, that's really when that that study abroad scholarship will come into play, and reach out to that office to see what other resources they have available.
Yeah. Yes, so the Green Fellowship is an opportunity for students to do research. I think most of them are at UT Southwestern, and you do that for credit. And so I have personally worked with 4 students who were Green Fellows, and they were successful. Now, that if you're interested in research, definitely let me know, and we can demystify a bunch of stuff there. But that's what it is. I think it was like 4 credit hours, and you're just basically a full-time researcher, and you get some incredible experience. And especially if you're a pre-med or if you think you want to go to graduate school, this is the thing to do for sure. It's a great question. Mm-hmm.
Can I add to the
Yeah.
international study? So another thing is, if you don't, I did international study as well, but I also had difficulty raising the funds. So you can apply for all of the support and then see how much you still are needing. And there are ways to go to different organizations and present and say, hey, I want to study abroad. I will come back and present on what I learned and what I did, and often they will write a check for you for a certain amount of money to help you go, with the agreement being that you just return at one of their luncheons or presentation conferences or something and present what you learned. So that's just another option available to you should you not get enough in financial assistance through the university to consider.
Yeah. I think a good idea while questions are still cooking is I'll go through each of the schools. Anyone in here in the business school, like accounting, business admin, JSOM? Yes. So quick fire note, yes, internships are required. My brother was grandfathered in before they changed the policy in 2012. We started in 2011, he dodged it. But yes, they're required, and yes, we will work with you to make sure you can get one. So we work with the Career Center, and again, we work with Capital One. We work with, we have a professional networking event every November where we bring our students here and we bring the employers to us, and you can network that way. So yeah, we got you. Because I know that's a big, and that goes for everybody. If you want to get into an internship or grab an internship, you'll want to work with us, and we will do everything we can to help you cross that finish line as well. Anyone here in the School of Behavior and Brain Sciences, neuroscience, psychology, if you're interested in research like I am, there is a way, like I've worked with students, and we will go through the research page, find a faculty member, reach out to them, and since your boy is a psychology student and a social scientist, we can frame it in a way that can get you in the door. And again, if you're even an engineering student, you want to do research or political science research, hit me up. Engineering students in the house today, we built race cars like right over, like that's mechanical engineering, but they've built Formula One cars. And over in the ECS building, you can see through it. So it's all glass windows, and you can see them in there working on it. I think that's really cool. ECS, one of our largest schools, and some of our most successful students. Computer architecture and programming language paradigms. Those classes can be a little bit of a boogeyman, but you take that later on, but you know now. That we have a wind tunnel. Yes, we have a wind tunnel as well. Thank you, Daryl. So, engineering, computer science. The Bass School, like this is arts and humanities. Anyone here in the Bass School? Yes. Okay. So, the visual and performing arts A1, gaming, animation. Like when I was in middle school, I thought I wanted to be a game designer. I know somebody that works for EA, by the way. I got my issues with EA, but I know somebody who works with EA. So let me know. And what am I missing? We have economic and political sciences. Anybody studying EPS, economics, political science? What about natural science and mathematics? Biology, pre-med. Are we pre-med? Okay, so we will start working, well, not tomorrow because school will start, but when the semester starts, we're going to get you linked up with pre-med advising. And I cannot wait to say in the recommendation letter that I write for you when you go to medical school that I met you here. So, what am I missing? So, who am I missing? I know we got EPS. Interdisciplinary studies, anybody? Interdisciplinary, hey, there we go. That's, well, I don't want to use the word to define the word, interdisciplinary studies, but we've had students from ISS go to medical school who ended up going into teaching, which is a passion of mine. And so UTeach is a great program. If you're interested in that, definitely let me know. I think I might have quick fired all of the schools. Hope I'm not missing anybody.
I just wanted to let JSOM and EPS know that we are previewing some of our brain health strategies in your orientation classes coming this semester, but they're digital. So give us any feedback. I'm really interested to hear if there's something you would like covered that's not covered. We want to look at that for the future, or if there's something that you see in those modules when you do your freshman orientation through your school of study. We are here to listen, so please let me know what you think. We're excited to see what feedback we get.
Exactly. And, around midterm time, I know that can be a stressful time, so we have stress busters. We have dogs that we bring in that you can pet. So we try to make sure we take care of our students' mental health for sure. Any other questions? Yes. When are they bringing the dogs? Probably around finals,
And
around
midterms.
midterms. So we're talking about October-ish. Finals, we're talking about early December. The dogs will pull up.
And you'll see signs all over campus that they're coming, and it's on the comment calendar. They are the cutest. And when they get the new puppies that are going to train, you can meet them.
Yeah.
Love them.
Any gamers in here besides me? So the esports arena, probably my favorite place. So we don't have a football team, but we got an esports team. Do you play Valorant or Overwatch? So here's what happened. We had a tournament, right? We were here, obviously, Tech, UTA, Texas A&M, UNT, and we made it to grand final. And Texas A&M came in here, beat us, and left with our trophy. Celebrated on our floor, and left. Gotta get it back. We don't have a football team, but man, that hurt. So I want them so bad. I just please come back. So anyway, let me reel it in. But yeah, I just thought I'd point that out. We got about, yeah.
So I will say you want to reach out to the bursar's office, but in general, we don't have a per hour credit rate for tuition. It's a tuition plan. So depending on the number of hours you're enrolled in, there's a specific amount of tuition associated with those number of hours. How many are you in right now? Okay. Yeah. So here's a fun fact. We cap our tuition at 12 hours. So if you're in 15, 18, if you're wanting to go even above and beyond that, you're actually saving on tuition because it's the same rate for 12 or more hours. Now, if you're in one of those classes like JSOM and ECS that have a supplemental tuition, those will still occur based on the actual enrollment, but our base tuition is capped at 12 hours. So you will see a little bit of a bump from 11 to 12 or more. Just take a look at their bursar's office website for that tuition chart.
Yeah. Join a what now? Yeah. Oh, yes. So you can contact, Greek Life, with Student Affairs, Greek Life, they have all of the sororities that are available. Hit them up. They post up during Rush Week. They'll post up outside the Starbucks. It's a whole thing. But definitely, if you want to enhance your student experience and you want to get involved and maybe become a leader in that sorority, go for it. Mm-hmm.
That's actually what I was going to bring up, too.
Excellent. We got a couple questions. We got here and here. Right, so UTD alerts, there's a text system, first and foremost. They'll let you know, hey, there's a power outage. We had a lot of power outages last academic year, but we have safeguards in place. So if the power goes out, usually the res halls, will you be in the residence hall? Right, so normally they have their own backups to keep the power on in there, but we have text alerts and we have communications, and yes, we do have our public safety officers and our police officers who will jump into action immediately. Oh, yes. So where's your question? Oh, I would love to. Are you a Nebula Scholar? Did you get my email advertised? Okay, so real quick. So the Nebula Scholars Program is another student success program that is offered to students who receive any tier of AES or Academic Excellence Scholarship or top 10% scholarship. Now, you may be thinking, oh, dang, well, I don't have that. That's perfectly fine. We have undergraduate success scholars that does the same thing. It's a little bit more structured for students who did not receive any type of scholarship. But that is, so Nebula Scholars and USS both, that is a student success program where you work one-on-one with me and Ashley, and we have events, everything that I was putting in the marketing emails. But the true magic sauce of Nebula, USS, and frankly, the First Gen program is working one-on-one with us. That is the one thing that when we were in the pandemic and they said, hey, budgets are tight, what can you cut? We said, cut everything but me working one-on-one with the students. Because we have data consistently that shows that that is the most impactful thing. You can set up a meeting with me, talk about your goals, and like I said, this goes for First Gen as well. You can come in and you just need a body double. Hey, I need to do this thing. Will you sit with me while I do it? Make sure that I do it. Do you want to just talk, do you need to rant about A&M coming in here and taking our control? Like where any type of support that you need, that's what Nebula Scholars does. And we have game nights, and we have all sorts of other events. We're going to go see the Nutcracker this December. So that's what that is, and as well as USS. If you're like, oh man, that sounds cool, I would like to join Nebula, congratulations, you're just in. If you say, hey, that sounded cool what you were talking about, I would love to do that in addition to being First Gen, let me know, give me your email address, and boom, you're in. Because, you know, I run the program, so it's like, if you want in, you're just in. Yeah. And you may say, because I've had this happen before as well, and then we'll probably take a couple more questions. In the event that someone loses their scholarship, your scholarship doesn't get you kicked out of my program. No, that just gets you in. That's just me. Oh, hello, so you got the scholarship, come on in. If something happens, you're still in the program. That's not contingent on you keeping your scholarship. You know, Olivia said, once we have you, you have you. Now look, and you all can correct me if I'm wrong, I use my UNC status responsibly. But I was told that UNC status doesn't start until 36, so I got 3 good years, so I'm still big bro. But anyway, am I UNC? Yikes. But that's a great question. So the Office of Undergraduate Education has a litany of support programs for our students. So we can probably do 1 or 2 more, and then we get started with because I can smell the food outside.
Yeah, USS, we're going to be presenting there on sleep in October. So if you're interested, you might see some of us again. And actually, I'll have my colleague, Janet Kozlowski, who is amazing at talking and presenting about sleep. I learned something new from her every single time. She's the one that told me I needed to sleep not just the night before my exam, but the night before the night before my exam. And my mind went, that changes everything. So we'd love to have you. I think probably even if you wanted to go and you weren't a USS, you could sit in.
Yeah, just hit me up. Just say, hey, I would like to go to the thing. I was like, yeah, it's done.
In the spring class.
Yeah, and the spring class. One last thing I want to plug is next March, we have this event called LeaderCon, which is basically Comet-Con plus a student leadership conference. We came and we were dressed up. I was in my Spider-Man stuff. It's dope. So you'll definitely be getting some email communication about that. Of course, we'll grab some lunch now, and I'm still available if you have any questions you want to come up and ask me. Feel free, ask me, Sarah, or Olivia. We'll be here, and then we're going to turn it over to Capital One at around 1 p.m. That'll be our day. So we consider it a great honor that you came and wanted to spend your time with us. You know, I'm a big power and responsibility guy. It comes with the Spider-Man thing. So parents, it is not lost on me that you're trusting your child with us. Like, I understand that responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. And we will make sure that, again, we do everything in our power to make sure that, man, when they walk across that stage, you know, I haven't been able to break yet. I haven't cried yet. I think the older I get, though, like, this is going to start happening. But I'm their biggest fan. So I'll just leave you with that. So we're going to grab some lunch. Thank you for joining us. First Generation Commerce YouTube channel. You already know what to do. Smash that like button. Give us a subscribe. And check us out on Instagram at UT Dallas First Gens as well. And we will be seeing you this fall. Welcome to UT Dallas and the Comet family. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you around. Y'all can tell I've